everyone. Welcome to the Light Gate. First day in July on a Monday night at 8 o'clock, and we're going until 10. This is our new time schedule, and I'm excited about it. We have a really cool night tonight. We are coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans in Louisiana at the United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM. We are on Roku, Facebook, YouTube, and many others. We have a wonderful night ahead of us, and we're going to be discussing some really interesting things tonight with one of our favorite guests. So I'm going to turn it right over to Preston. Woo! Let's go.
Thank you, Dolly. Thank you very much. Of course, I am Preston Dennett. You are watching The Light Gate. I forgot to check what episode this is, 62? I think it's somewhere around there. My lovely co-host is, of course, Dolly Safran. We've got a really wonderful guest that we've invited back because we had so much fun last time. We've got some new topics to discuss, everything from megalithic structures and crop circles and UFOs and cover-ups and all the subjects we love so much to discuss. So thank you all for joining us. I'm super excited to see so many of you familiar faces out there. And we're very happy, as Dolly says, to be at our new time. It's a little bit earlier for us. Hopefully it's not too early for you folks on the West Coast. But either way, the shows are, of course, archived, so you can watch it at any time. But I love doing these live shows. I love interacting with all of you guys. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. We love questions. I particularly want this episode to be Q&A. We're going to do another major Q&A, but yeah, the questions help a lot. It really helps us to interact with you guys. Speaking of which, let's take a quick look to see who we got here in chat, because it's so much fun to see you, all these familiar names and faces. And who do we have? First in line is Mountain Dan from East Tennessee. Greetings, Earthling. And Brian Morgan always is here, so thank you so much, Brian. And we are now starting our show. Hope everyone is doing well today. I know I am, and I think Dolly is too. Hope you are as well. All right, who else do we got here? Blind Psychonaut. I love these names you guys get. Just always makes me smile. Real Badger, hope you're doing well. And we have Hector Gonzalez from Queens, New York. I like New York, actually. Stayed there for a couple of weeks. It was awesome. Gamma Galaxy, thank you for joining us, Gamma Galaxy. And Catherine Four Feathers.
Hello, Catherine.
And Star Orchid, thank you so much. Truly appreciate your generosity and goodwill. It means a lot. And yeah, I hope we're making all your guys' Mondays just a little bit brighter, because I know Mondays can be hard. So thank you, Star Orchid. And thank you also, Namaste. You're always here with us. You're always so kind and generous. It means a lot. You have much gratitude coming from both Dolly and me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And here is Sukhoi. Thanks for joining us, Sukhoi. Who else do we got here? And we have Bob Thorson. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that a whole lot. Thank you so much. I'm still thinking about our conversation and all the little details that went into your own encounter. So very, very interesting. Thank you so much, and glad to see you here. Hope you're doing well. And who else do we got? We got Morgan. Seems like a Christmas party already in here. Well, Christmas, 4th of July. Happy Independence Day to all you folks here in the U.S. and to the folks in Britain. I'm very sorry. We needed our independence. We just happen to have a Brit as our guest tonight, so it's kind of funny. All right, moving along. Alan Roser, thanks for joining us. Farah in 3D. Hey, Dolly and Preston, one of my favorite shows. Aw.
Thank you.
Nice of you, Farah. Thank you. Mr. Catfish, hello. And Christopher Harmon. And R.T. Baj B. Thank you very much. Sector 31 out shooting footage. Very, very cool. Okay, Hector Gonzalez, looking forward to tonight's show. I've been on vacation in Puerto Rico. Nice. Puerto Rico is so beautiful. I've never been there, but I've certainly seen pictures and covered a bunch of UFO cases there. And boy, there are a lot. Okay, Susan Lawrence, hello.
Hello.
And, oh, Catherine says it's the perfect time here in Washington. Oh, good. I was worried we might lose some audience, but hopefully, ultimately we'll gain. We will see. But thank you, Catherine. I'm glad. Tim Alvarado checking in from Union, Michigan. Nice. I'm jealous you have all that lake surrounding you. Very cool. Christopher Harmon, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You guys, these super stickers, these donations help us to fund this show, which does cost us a little bit. And it makes a big difference when you guys help us out. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It's very nice of you, Christopher. All right, J. Tad, and let's see, who else do we have here? I think I may have already put Tim Houston on. Maybe not. No, I guess not. Hello, Tim. And DeLublink, all the way from Chicago, the Windy City. My hometown, by the way. That's where I was born. Oh, and Tim Houston's all the way from Australia. Very cool. And CT Guitar Guy. Oh, thanks.
Hey.
True. And Swervin says, hello, everyone. And Morgan says, it's not technically Monday here in the UK. It's a little bit not so late for you, Morgan, so thanks for joining us. Fun Talks TV says, greetings all the way from Lubisky, Poland. I'm so excited about the new time.
Yeah.
Don't know what you said. I can speak.
Oh, how are you?
I know a little Czechoslovakian, but only if you can count to 10. That's about it. Let's see who else we have. Derek Mulligan from Dublin, Ireland. Very cool. And Peak says hello from Las Vegas. Thank you for letting me know how to pronounce, because I often get in trouble with the pronunciation police. But I'm not in jail yet, so I'm going to keep going. John Williams, how's life been? Good. Not bad. Having fun. So thanks for joining us.
Yep.
And Van Darkholm, last episode was fantastic. Here's to another one. Thank you very much. Simon, our guest. We Brits are voting on the 4th. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll be getting to you shortly, Simon. Sorry, I'd love to say hi to people in the chat. I'm getting in trouble because I take too long, but I try to limit to the first 5 minutes or so. And I think I've done it. Kaj says, hi, Dolly and Preston. And I think we should get going now. One more. He just popped in. Patrick Webb. Hello from Dayton, Ohio, home of Wright Patterson. Wright Patterson, neck deep in UFOs. What I would love to be a fly on the wall in some of those rooms in Wright Patterson and see all those UFOs. I know they're there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get started. Let me first put up the banner, which shows our guest's name here. And yeah, I'm very happy and excited to announce our guest tonight is Simon Domville-Musters. We've welcomed him back. The response last time was huge. So he's a very interesting guy with all kinds of wonderful things to say. He resides in the UK. He's had many UFO encounters, and he's working hard to research and educate people about the extraterrestrial presence on our planet and the UFO cover-up, which we're all working hard to just get done with. And as Simon says, and I quote, my interest is communicating and learning from ET. The other priority is saving us from the New World Order totalitarianism that is being rammed down every orifice possible, and then intravenously. Unfortunately true. Finally, democracy in the purest conception of the term, for which Socrates perished, as PR has not been conceived in his time, despite being descendants of Atlantis. So democracy is majority rule, but with respect for the fundamental rights of minorities. I appreciate that. As Simon says, we are all minorities in one form or another. He does have a YouTube channel, which you should definitely check out. It's called The Ranting Revolutionary. And of course, the links to his channel and other stuff that he has is in the show description. But let's just bring on our wonderful guest so you can hear him firsthand. Hi, Simon.
Hi,
Hi,
Simon.
Catherine. Hi, Dolly. Lovely to be with you both again, and lovely to be with your wonderful audience.
It's an honor and a pleasure, truly. Yeah, we had a lot of fun last time talking about your UFO encounters and all of that, the ghosts and the premonitions and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think we pretty much got through most of your unexplained experiences, didn't we?
Yes.
I think we did, yeah.
All right.
I've got a lovely episode, which isn't mine, but a third-party episode, which is wonderfully witnessed, that touches my latest podcast, which was about the crop circles and the standing stones, not only in England and Scotland and Ireland. Ireland is explosive. It's unbelievable. But also Western Europe and Karnak. But there's a beautiful, beautiful experience with a policeman. Now, to put it in context, because not a lot of people know this, prior to 2012, when the British government released a whole load of UFO information and made it public, there were 800 policemen who were in an association campaigning for transparency on the subject, because as trained observers, they were putting in the reports and nothing was coming back.
Naturally.
So this was prior to 2012. Now, this incident does take place prior to 2012 and prior to the big fence being put around Stonehenge. As I mentioned in my podcast, as a boy, I used to go down to Devon, Cornwall with my mother every summer holidays nearly. And I would have the map in my hands before GPS and the phones and all the rest of it. And we would go to Stonehenge on the A303 and the 272 and all the rest of it. So anybody who knows Britain knows the road numbers I'm talking about. And we used to stop there. And if it was after lunch, it would just be a stop. And if it was lunchtime, it would be a picnic time. And then on the way back, the same thing. So anyway, in my research for these two podcasts that I did about Stonehenge and crop circles, there's a little episode which I didn't include, but it's well worthy of note. Now, this takes place in the 70s, about the time my family were commuting to and from Devon during the summer holidays. And it's a nice young couple who decided that they would camp out literally in the middle of the stones at Stonehenge, which wasn't banned at the time, right?
Wow.
Yeah. And they had their little tent and their camping fire, and they're under the stars. And, prior to chem spraying and all the rest of it, we did have clear nights in summer, and especially over these sacred sites. And I can really understand and really get into the fact that the guys would want to camp out there as a young couple in this sacred place. So anyway, there they are doing their bacon and eggs in the evening or whatever. And there is an unidentified object over Stonehenge. And one of the witnesses is a policeman in a car that is called a Mini. Now, if you've never been to Britain and you do not know what a Mini is, Richard C. Hoagland, on his first trip to Britain, described a Mini as a vehicle that you do not drive, you just wear. Raw, right? So we have a police car in a mini police car, and we have a farmer. Now, farmers, whether it's crops or cattle, they get up jolly early in the morning. So they're not going to waste their time wandering around in the middle of the night looking at the stars. However, the object was so obvious that he went out to see what it was. Policeman, in the meantime, in his little Mini, is also following the object that stops over Stonehenge. Then there is a beam of blue light from the silver disc, and the campers, without their equipment, are suddenly uplifted, never to be heard of again. Unclosed case. There is no further. They did file the reports because the policeman was there, so he filed everything, right? The families also filed missing person reports. There is no follow-up. There is nothing. Now, I didn't put this in my podcast because I had so much far more interesting technical data. But that was a beautiful little anecdote with a policeman as a witness who is a trained observer and a farmer, a local resident. Now, the farmers are very cool. The farmers down there are very cool. If you ask permission, you can traipse in their fields so long as you follow the right paths and all the rest of it. And you don't litter the place and you don't smoke as I do and all the rest of it. They are really cool. And they're so used to it, it's like not a problem. What's more, they get compensation for so-called vandalization, right? But actually, there's not that much vandalization because when it's a real ET crop circle, the crops pop back up again and they can be harvested. And what's more, it's a bumper harvest because a combination not only of the electromagnetic residue, but you also have a little dose of radiation, right? Which is why I put in my podcast that these places, these megaliths, are actually places where you turbocharge your seeds. So you don't need GMOs, you don't need fertilizer, you just put them on the ley lines at the right time, the right place, you turbocharge your seeds.
Oh, that's interesting.
And that is why in the Middle Ages, when crop circles appeared, the peasants always used to go and fornicate down in the crop circles because they knew that they would have happy, healthy babies.
That's interesting. I heard Stonehenge actually got vandalized recently.
Yeah, the so-called climate change lunatics, yeah. And they sprayed orange paint and stuff. But they got it cleaned up before the summer solstice, of which there were 6,000 people present, which is a slight drop because normally there are about 10,000, if not more. But when the English do this sort of thing with all these thousands of people and their burger vans and their portable toilets and everything, you have no idea how family it is and how cool it is, right? It is safe. The English do not go out to cause, aggro in these sites, on these places. It's nothing to do with the sponsored trouble groups.
I was surprised that someone would go, why would you ever vandalize, a site like that? If you have, disagreements, do it somewhere else. That's just ridiculous.
It is. Definitely, yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned Stone. Now, there's someone asking, do you know the names of the people? Or were they listed in the people who disappeared from the Stone?
Yeah, this can be traceable. This is a recorded story. I haven't got my notes with me, but this is a recorded fact. And the fact that there was a policeman there, you can be sure that you will find the traces. Yeah.
Yeah, I know of other sightings over Stonehenge. In fact, I looked at one that was particularly interesting, involving a couple who was driving by. They hadn't planned to stop. They were just driving by it and saw, as they're reaching Stonehenge, there's a little road that turns in there. They're driving by it. They see a UFO, and they pulled over their car, and they had a humanoid that they said was, I don't know, 8 feet tall, walk up to their car. They had some disorientation, some really high strangeness. Like, they got away from there. They had missing time, but they had this is just weird high strangeness. I'm just mentioning it because it's so bizarre. They had a fresh banana on their dashboard. And after this experience, it was completely not fresh. It was black. So something weird happened. They ended up going home and having an explosion of psychic activity, poltergeist-like activity, premonitions, all this stuff going on. And I mean, that's a completely condensed version of it, but it was apparently this weird UFO humanoid sighting right at Stonehenge. I'm wondering if there's something about that attracts activity like this. Because I know there are others.
Preston, of course, because this is one of the world's ley line hub centers, just like Giza, just like in certain places in Central America, Southern America, and even in North America. And what your viewers have to do is look up the monk code. The link is in the description on my podcast, and you will see how they are mathematically linked. Now, they are using spherical mathematics, which is not that complicated once you get your head around it. Now, when I was a young guy, I piloted little aircraft as a hobby, right? Not as a profession, right? I did not earn my living as a private pilot or try and fly Concorde or 747s, but I enjoyed just taking a little cuckoo across the channel to France. And, so you have to get your head around basic navigational stuff. Well, Carl Monk, who was US Air Force electronics engineer, far, far more developed than I am in that subject. This guy it took him years because he started before IT and spreadsheets and all the rest of it. It took him years, but he worked out the code. The same code that confirms the fact that the moon is an artificial object and confirms the mythology that there was a time before the moon existed. The same mathematics that confirms Richard C. Hoagland, with whom Carl Monk corresponded, by the way, and the 19.5, the pyramids on the moon, the structures on Mars, the cities on Mars, all the rest of it. It's all linked, and you can even link our monolithic structures to those on Mars via Monk's mathematics. That is how far the guy has pushed it. And he started before spreadsheets. So the wet wipes, wake up.
So you've done a lot of research into these megalithic sites, and I'd love to get more into that.
Now, there's a guy your viewers must look up. His name is Paul Cook. He is completely off the radar when it comes to university degrees and all this rubbish. He's worked it out all by himself, and he goes there on the terrain. He films it. He scrubs stuff off the surface. He even does demonstrations where he gets the materials and he proves by mixing it all together. His work is absolutely terrain, totally terrain, no rubbish, right? Absolutely terrain. His name is Paul Cook. Please look him up. He's absolutely wonderful. He's typically English. He's very quirky and eccentric, just like me.
All right, very cool. So let's talk about crop circles a little bit,
Oh yeah, beautiful.
because you're there in Crop Circle Central.
I am definitely. I love it.
I'm jealous because you can just get there in a hop, skip, and a jump. And what's interesting to me about crop circles is they are worldwide. You're there where there's a lot of them, but they're so obviously meaningful. They're so
right.
beautiful.
They're a message. They're a message, an aesthetic message, a mathematical message, a geometrical message, right? And we even have researchers who are taking these forms and putting them into 3D and trying to work out the machines you could make with them in some cases.
Wow.
Now, to give you an idea how ET listens and understands, back in the 70s, once again, there was a wonderful mathematician who said, I would really like them to do an expression of a certain formula. There's a mathematical formula that was actually solved by a Russian mathematician while he was fighting on the Eastern Front during the First World War. And he managed to work out the formula with the bombs dropping around him. And he said, I want a crop circle of this formula. Well, 2 days later, he got it. And that's back in the 70s, and it's a recorded fact. And it was scientists who were talking. This wasn't little amateurs and dilettantes, no matter how brilliant we might be. It was qualified guys, right? So they were absolutely on their right? And then we have the Chilburton crop circle. Do you know about the Chilburton one?
Not specifically.
Well, you know about the Arecibo message that was sent out by Carl.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So 20-something years later, we get the reply.
Right.
And it's by the biggest radio telescope in Britain, which happens to be in the area, oddly enough. Now, that radio telescope is not left alone. There is a night warden or a guardian, plus a dog, right? And the map, which always makes me laugh. But nobody saw anything. And we all know that dogs are the first to sniff something that isn't quite right, right? And anyway, we got the reply to the Arecibo message. And it said, understand your decimal system, understand your planetary system. We have 2 suns. Yeah, we also have just 2 sexes, male and female.
Right. They're bipedal. Yeah. Yeah. All of that. They're humanoid. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He even did a portrait of his face next to the message, so you could see his head and how he looked. And he wasn't too horrible at all, right? But he did have an egghead, basically. Right? Did the mainstream media report this? No,
It's still one of the more famous ones.
You know the truth. Yeah.
One of my favorite is the one that curls like a conch shell and shows the Fibonacci sequence.
Yes. Yeah.
I can't imagine someone having the ability, just an average person, to be able to do, because there seems to be levels and levels of meaning to some of these things.
Of course, it's not 3-dimensional. It goes up to 12 dimensions easily.
That's right, at 12, right? It explains the 12 dimensions that we live in. It also explains why gravity influences the way life exists. And that's what the Fibonacci is mostly shows. It's the stamp of an entity mind, infinite mind, that has summed this place up for us and given us a place to live. We are part of a whole. And it drove scientists crazy at first because, intelligent design was not in their vocabulary until the 80s. And they finally came out with it, and it's in response to that alone. That is one of the reasons they couldn't deny it anymore, not outwardly at all. And it's amazing to me, all plants, if you look at flowers, they all have the Fibonacci in them, and the way they circle around and the way they bloom out and the proportions of their dimensions all the way down to the stems. And it's amazing because all life, we have in this dimension, we have 5 fingers. We have some entities have 6, but it's still within the bonds of the 12, the number 12, which the Fibonacci is basically part of. Okay, it explains it all the way up, and it amazes me that that kind of information isn't just sent out to everybody and they teach it in schools, because it's how do I put this? It's empirical data that they're sending, and
That's right.
they don't you don't know the truth about that it is empirical and you can't argue with it. It's final. It's the last say on something, and they don't teach it even in schools. They'll tell you what the Fibonacci, everybody's heard that word, but to understand the meaning of it and how it works, especially in relationship to the universe
And fractal.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Absolutely.
And I know a lot of people take fractals as meaning that we're in a simulation. We're not. This is hardcore reality that we're in the third dimension.
Absolutely.
It's amusing that somebody tried to sell that theory, and it's only a theory. It's failed theory. It doesn't exist. We are in hard evidential reality here. And
what is not told as well, Dolly, is that Isaac Newton only spent half his time on the physics that are considered Newtonian physics today.
Yeah.
He also spent the other half of his time on what we are talking about now. And at the time, it was called alchemy, it was called the occult, it was called
Right.
lots of other things.
the perspective of people who thought they knew, right? Exactly. It's amazing.
A huge chest of his work on the outside of the 3D dimension
Right.
actually sold at auction in 1930 something between the 2 world wars, which is how we know about this. But Isaac Newton, who is a total empirical scientist, was totally into the fact that consciousness affects the physical.
Right.
And you speak to any Buddhist, he will tell you, of course, it's obvious that the physical cannot exist without the conscious.
Right.
And even CERN with the fast particle reactor had problems. And who did they go to? They went to the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama says, okay, look, I'll tell you what, guys, to show you how interconnected everything is. You take one particle from any family in the periodic table and you bang it at one end. You take another particle from a completely opposed family of the periodic table and you bang it at the other end. Then, instead of banging them together, you just tickle one with a very mild electric stimulus, right? And you just go gently, and you will see that they will both react simultaneously.
Right. Well, they're already
And
communicating with one
and
another.
it drove Einstein mad.
Yeah.
This thing drove Einstein mad because it actually puts in question not all, but part of the theory of relativity.
Yeah.
Because you are looking at instantaneous communication faster than the speed of light.
Right. All particles are light. All of them. All protons are light. You're made up of light. Every particle in your body is light. The only reason you don't see it is that you're in a gravity-heavy environment and they're all compacted together and your eyes can only perceive so much light to begin with. And so you see yourself as a solid object, but you are not. And the gravity of the light that you're composed of and everything else plays and interacts with all of that. And every one of your cells being light is communicating with every other cell of light everywhere, all the way across the universe. Is simultaneously. We all hear each other constantly all the time. You hear other beings and other galaxies all the way across the universe and you don't even realize you're doing it. And that's because we're not operating fully consciously like we should be in this environment that we're in here. that's one of our huge problems. It is amazing to me that people don't sit and think about this, that they don't understand. I'll tell you something. In the third dimension, there are two sets of rules. One is for the physical, the hard wiring of our dimension, every like particles, rocks,
Yeah.
planets, things like that. But then there are living DNA particles that come together and organize. Like when you're in high school, you learn what a hydra is. It's a bunch of different little entities all coming together to form one big entity. And that's basically what the physical is, as far as life. And we coexist with one another. It's the mainframe and then the programming on top of the mainframe. And your DNA is all at the bottom of it, all the way across the board. And people don't, they know this in science. They absolutely know the truth of this. This is not a theory. They've proven they understand it, but they don't teach it in school. They don't teach you that there's a physical mainframe in the third dimension and that all life exists with it at the same time. And it's interdependent for minerals to feed the bodies that are here, the existing life. You can't exist without feeding this engine that you're in. And they don't teach it to you like that at all. But once the physical passes, in other words, it's done doing its job, that which drives it, the consciousness, goes on to do other things, and it's reformed in this dimension in another way, like
Absolutely.
as again or whatever. And they don't teach you that. They want to teach you stupid things like, well, we have Mars, we're going to go to Mars. No, you're not. They're not going to Mars. It's not. They want to get you all excited about that, so you spend the money to give to them or pay your taxes to them so that they can build things that you don't know that they're doing. But they give you the story of it, and it's irritating as all get out. They don't teach you the truth that gamma radiation destroys all life. Period. The end. There is no way you can survive it in the physical third dimensional world that we're in without a magnetosphere over our heads protecting us from most of the energy coming in. We'd all be dead. There would be nothing here. Nothing. And Mars is a nothing planet now. It's dead cord. It had
the first reading that the first probe took was the methane level on Mars, which gave the reading that Mars had definitely had a thermonuclear war. It had an Earth-like atmosphere because you could not have had that reading without an Earth-like atmosphere. Yeah. So it was very clear that Mars was once a green planet just like ours.
Right.
Now, it's very interesting because E.T. has made it very clear that there are millions of planets just like Earth, some with humanoids, some without. But if they actually really just wanted to exploit the mineral wealth or the other wealth of these planets, there's nothing stopping them because they're not inhabited, right? So why do they keep coming down here? Because we're their little experiment. We're their little children.
No, we're their children. Absolutely. They're children. They're watching over us. They expect us to evolve. They expect us to meet and greet with them. That's it.
I found the crop circle you guys were talking about.
That's the one, right?
Yeah. Look at that.
That's another one. That's another one. It's not the same one, but it's another one. Now, this one, he is saying in this crop circle, beware of deception, but there is still time.
That's right.
Is the message. And this is using a very basic first language in IT, which is binary based.
Right.
Now, this is very interesting because when you go to the stone circles at Karnak, which aren't circles but are like punch cards, Karnak not only has all sorts of alignments as well to Giza and other places, but it is a binary code as well. Now, the interesting thing about Karnak is that it had a druid library, which was burnt as Caesar went through Gaul. Now, if you actually look at all the libraries that were burnt during the first millennium, from just before Christ to 1,000 years afterwards, they burnt a lot of books.
Yep.
But if there was one library at Karnak, there must have been another somewhere else, which I hope we will discover, because Caesar, in his chronicles, now all these guys, what you have to understand in history, whether it's Napoleon, Wellington, whoever else, they all employed spin doctors, right? PR agents. They were called chroniclers, right? And the chroniclers would give the official version of this, that, and the other, but they also kept diaries where they said, "What a load of bollocks," and the rest, right? And actually let you know what happened, right? So Caesar did make it very clear that he admired the Druids as leaders of men and great inspirational people. And he sent a delegation to them and said, "We want you to come on our side because we're obviously going to win militarily. So why don't you come on over?" And they said, "FO."
Well, they nearly beat him. They tried really hard. The only reason they eventually did win against them is because they had more people and more time and more food. You know, the Druids didn't have that kind of resource that they had, which is sad to me because there were a couple battles that they absolutely blistered them pretty badly. You know,
yeah, they did. Yeah, oh yeah.
You know, and it's amazing to me that they did do that. And where did the Druids end up? Great Britain. You know, they went all the way over there and to get away from them mostly. And what's weird to me now is there are Druids still in the Germanic places in Germany and Austria and Switzerland, all those places.
Oh, and in England we have Druids.
That's right.
We
Right.
still have them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know where they get their data from, and I haven't gone into it, right?
Right.
But I respect.
Oh,
Right. There has to be a source for their knowledge. I haven't gone into it, but I'm totally willing to respect it. I know that they are very popular. And if they're popular, there's a reason why. There must be truth in it somewhere.
yeah.
Well, that goes back to what you were saying before the show. Because the truth is they're always trying to hide the truth. And you mentioned that, there are all these megalithic and sacred sites in Ireland that they're basically trying to cover up.
Yeah. Ireland is an explosion of sites. And Scotland has far more than the public knows about as well. And it just depends where you put your meridian. But if you follow the monk code, it's all signposted.
Right.
Now, these guys didn't go there to dance around a fire at midnight on the solstice and kill a few chickens or goats. They went there for a specific reason.
Right.
And that was to turbocharge their seeds and probably at the same time conceive children that would be conceived healthily and would have good, simple births without trauma and would come out normal.
Yeah.
Right?
You know that Stonehenge was moved, right? It was in
Sorry?
another spot west of where it is now. And they had to move it because the planet was moving geographically, starting the tilt. And that's how they know the planet flops over. They have plenty of evidence for that. And Stonehenge, where it was before, they moved all those bloody stones all the way across to get it to where it was so that they could align it properly, so that they knew they were in the right alignment with the stars, because they knew the planet had moved.
Yeah.
And they had to do it. They had to do it. And there is example after example after example all over this planet where that's happened.
Now, this guy, this researcher I'm talking about, Paul Cook, he went on the second highest peak in Wales.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to give you an idea of how rocky Wales can be in certain places, when they filmed The Inn of the Sixth Happiness back in 1958 with Ingrid Bergman, they used Wales as the backdrop. Now, on the second highest peak in Wales, you have an incomplete Stonehenge with the monolith standing up with the cross beams all weighing, I don't know how many tons each, right? Up a mountain in the middle of Wales.
Right.
So this also confirms what you were saying, Dolly, definitely.
Yeah. Well, our poles shift, every so many years, and it's generally a 12,000-year excursion where it's a serious shift. Okay. And the planet's already starting to move around and do weird things. Our tilt actually moved a bit. Our mantle is breaking free right now, and everything's getting crazy. And all the alignments are kind of weird, showing that. If you get a Stonehenge now and you see the alignment how it is now, it's actually in alignment with everything right now, and it shouldn't have been, because 100 years ago it was not, but now it is, and they don't talk about that either. Why?
No.
And that should be taught in schools. The truth about what's happening to this planet is important, because all these monoliths are there for a reason. It's there so that they can track it. They knew to track it. They were taught to track it. But we're the ones that are not allowing that knowledge to go forward. These are all little signposts, as you said. These are mathematical calculations to show us, to warn us that stuff's happening to us, and we should be paying attention. And the only people who know about it are the ones that don't want us to know about it. It's annoying.
So this is the second highest peak in Wales, I think.
Right. That might be the highest peak, which is very interesting in itself. Right. Because you've got a lovely, lovely, lovely bit of carving there. During my research, I fell off my chair laughing. I had this 26-year-old pretty young archaeologist trying to convince me that the earth mounds were created by guys in a state of religious fervor using shoulder blades of cattle as shovels, right? And I thought, who is on the mushrooms? I mean, I'm on the Côte d'Or, right? I'm fine, right?
It's hysterical when you realize the truth, that it really is. How insane it is, everything going on around us. I know. How high is that peak? Do you know? How many miles up high is that peak?
Oh, that is well above 3,000 feet above sea level, right?
Okay.
But we're talking about these huge earth mound like Avebury, which isn't far from Stonehenge, which is also another magnificent site, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's trying to convince us that people who didn't even have shovels are using the shoulder blade of cattle to move thousands of tons of earth. And she's 26 years old. And I'm just looking at this and I'm thinking, what are you on, baby? I mean, a break. Now, also, what we have in England are drawings, beautiful drawings in the landscape. If you can, Preston, look up the Long Man of Wilmington.
Right. I've seen that. That is so cool.
There's Avebury.
That's Avebury. And if you look at all the mounds around, right, those were created. They are not natural.
Correct.
They weren't built around that. They were created. They were there. They were put there for a reason, right? And you don't use the shoulder blades of cattle to move all that bloody earth, excuse me. I mean, who in their right mind, when you've got crops to plant and families to feed, right, are going to, I mean, come on, right? I mean, give me a break.
That is funny. That's funny. We have burial mounds in this country that
I know you have, and it's on the monk code.
They're not anywhere near that scope of that type of a mound or hill.
Oh, you have, but it's been, there is a law in your country saying that these are Native American burial sites.
Mustn't be allowed to be touched.
Right, and mustn't be touched. Which, I mean, just ask the Native Americans, can we have a dig? And they'll probably say, go ahead, it's not a
they've tried to dig in. I'm looking for bodies. Okay. And the one in near Macon, Georgia, has served up no skeletons at all. And they're scratching their heads. And what you see inside them is a huge circle for a gathering of people. Okay. And for like lessons, teaching, community, that kind of thing. They have nothing to do with burial chambers at all. And
they never were burial chambers, never.
Right, correct. And it's amazing to me. The only structures I know on Earth where something moved at a huge rate by maybe somebody that was big enough to do it would be giants who built their own little cities, and have created things and left them behind for us to realize that no human being, as we know it now, picked that rock up. A giant did it.
And we have skeletons coming out of our ears. Ah, yeah, right. Yeah, that's the guy. Yeah.
Longman of Wilmington.
That's right. And what is he doing there and why is he there? But it's very interesting that his two staffs, which are not crooked at the top, right? This is like a geometer doing his work. This is not like some fertility symbol, some godlike symbol. This is a picture of the architect and the main contractor doing their measurements.
Right.
Do we have any idea how old it is?
We do. It's in the same sort of age as Stonehenge, but we also have a white horse on a hill.
Right.
We also have another guy, naked as God made him, with a nice big proud phallic erection. Right.
I seem to remember seeing.
So, right, we are talking about fertility here. We are talking about fecundity. Now, it's very interesting because archaeologists pulled their hair out when they got a gold statue out of some guy's tomb in Egypt. It was a statue of a pharaoh. It wasn't, it wasn't 12 feet tall. It was, like a foot and a half tall at the most. And Mr. Pharaoh had an erection. And this was portrayed, right? So, we are looking at a culture of celebration of life, celebration of health, celebration of reproduction. We are not looking at the discourse we are getting today from MSM about no more water, no more air, no more food. You must take a certain vaccine, which is going to give you cancer and all the rest of it. We are looking at a whole different ethos.
I agree, 100%. You couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
There's at least one of the horses.
Yeah,
quite a few of them actually.
Yeah.
Very interesting. It's clear that these people were trying to leave, stuff for posterity.
Definitely.
Let people know that something's going on long after, they would be gone.
What I find quite funny when I look at that horse, right, is that on the British Royal Arms, you have a unicorn. On our passport, we have the British Royal Arms with a unicorn. In our courts, the symbol is the lion and the unicorn, right? Now, how is it that we haven't found the skeleton of a unicorn when the unicorn is so ingrained in our culture?
Because it was they knew about them, they knew what they were, but it was too many thousands of years before mankind was 100% aware, and they did find some skeletons, but they've been lost, probably on purpose. We've had many iterations of animals on this planet, many types of animals that have just bloody gone extinct, and it is known to certain people on this planet that type of animal, unicorn, equine unicorn, went extinct.
Mm.
And there's a lot of mythology that carries in that symbol right there. Okay. And
So in the symbol here, Dolly,
yes,
you see animal qui soit y pense, right?
right. No,
So this is a family feud between the cousins of the British and French royal families.
right.
And that is saying, the ill that you wish me, may it turn against you.
Mhm.
The three lions you see at the top left and the bottom right come from Normandy, because William conquered Britain, but he
Right,
was the Duke of Normandy.
right.
And big thing was that as Duke of Normandy, he was therefore a vassal of the King of France.
Yes.
And he declared independence and says, I have now my own kingdom. Then, once again, a family feud. You see, Dieu est mon droit,
Hmm.
which means God is my right, which actually what it's saying is God is, I am divinely chosen by God, right? So, in other words, once again, the Plantagenets are affirming their right to be a royal family apart from the French royal family.
Right. Exactly.
So this whole family feud can be decoded,
Right.
except for where do we get the unicorn from?
Yeah, it's a mythological being that shows power,
Yeah,
but they
no,
did
no,
exist
no.
at one time. Yeah.
The unicorn is actually, first of all, a symbol of justice, and secondly, a symbol, believe it or not only of male virility, but also male virginity. Interestingly enough, yeah. When you get into the unicorn, it's quite fascinating. Yeah.
Would you like to know a secret?
Go on,
First,
tell me the secret.
group of secrets. I am a Plantagenet. I am a
Whoa.
I am a Plantagenet. I am all the way back to Charlemagne. Edward II is my great something grandfather, and
Mhm.
his wife was also related to Charlemagne. So that makes all of us who come from that particular family, and they went in through the Hastings after that. We're all related to Charlemagne, and it's weird because it's all French before that. Okay, the Plantagenet is a French word, and it's a flower that
That's
grows in
right.
Wales. And it was named by a Frenchman. That flower was named. It's
It's a
amazing.
genet. It's a genet. And
Genet,
plantagenet
that's right.
means he who
Exactly.
plants genets. Yes.
That's right. And it amazes me that these families, these dynasties that exist, these powerful dynasties, and they still exist to this day. Okay, they've changed a little bit. We now know that a Plantagenet is no longer on the throne of England. That
No,
it moved
it's
over.
another dynasty completely. Yeah.
That's right. And but there are Plantagenets that exist. They're in Australia and they're in America as well. And I am of that family. Okay. It is amazing to me that when I found out what my ancestry was and we proved it, I got a phone call from a geneticist in England. And they said, we have a question for you. And I'm like, what? And he said, would you like to notify the royal family of your existence? I went, no. No. And they're like, what do you mean? And I said, nobody in my family does. Don't even go there. So, and he said, you're not going to try to stake a claim or anything? And I said, no, why would we? They've already.
You should, because I have two
Yeah.
favorite friends. One is Rebecca Ann Tudor from the Tudor dynasty.
Right.
The other lady is Mary Davis, who's from the Stuart dynasty.
Yeah, I'm also from the Stuarts, by the way. I'm related to the Stuart family as well, royal Stuarts
It
as
seems
well.
to turn up with a lot of contactees. My sister-in-law, Christy, she did her DNA. And turns out she's got some Filipino royalty. There's some 200 countries on this planet.
Families that have been followed. They're powerful families and they've been followed, and their genetics are watched and guided somewhat. And my point is this: ETs don't have this kind of power base in their hierarchy.
No.
They have none at all whatsoever. They don't have laws like we do. They don't have police like we do. They don't have governments like we do. No republics. There's no galactic federation. Those are all words that we use that are incorrect in
That's
thinking
right.
about.
That's right, because there are several galactic federations,
Okay.
and a
They
lot
are.
of a lot
They
of the
are.
galactic federations that are being sold at the moment are a
Right.
load of twaddle, as you
Yeah,
and I
and
both.
they absolutely loathe the fact that we let people rule us like this. And
Yeah.
one of the reasons
I
that
love
our
that
family
word.
broke away and went, no, we're leaving, goodbye, see ya, was because of that. My family realized that there's no point in this anymore. This is not healthy for anybody, and we need to stop it. And that's why we won't have anything to do with it. We want nothing to do with it. And I've been contacted by people you can't even imagine. I've had crazy people call me, and it's like, no, thank you, leave me alone. You know, just like you, I'm a nobody. You know, and just leave me alone. I'm just one of the many, right? And it is from what ET has taught me about all of this is that we are. You know, in the days of old, women were bold and women were in flower. Okay, each duchy or all of that, besides the kings and the queens, protected their people. They kept them on reservation with them, and they ruled them that way. Okay, they were kind of like masters to them. It's kind of like it was the beginning of what I call the world mafia. Okay, it's
Yeah.
I will protect you. I will ensure the fact that you're going to live another day because I'm going to protect you, and all you have to do is work for me and pay me or whatever, and I will protect you.
The world mafia, absolutely.
Now, we live in a society where the insurance companies own us. There are protectors. The police are a type of protector. The government is a kind of protector. It's an insane asylum of mafia type thinking, and it's worldwide. Worldwide. Religion is a type of protector.
I could not agree with you more.
Right. And one of the things that we have to do when we're waking up from all this is get off the train that says you're owned and that you must do what you're told to do. No. If you want to learn and evolve as an individual, which is what you're supposed to be doing, you can't be on that train with everybody else. You have to think for yourself. And it has come to the fact that people are told so many wrong things now. I don't think there are 10 people on this planet, just normal everyday people, who can come to a conclusion together about what's really going on because they don't know. They have no foundational understanding or knowledge of it at all. And that's, game over. Okay.
80 years of brainwashing.
Right.
Okay, guys, we need to take a quick station ID break. I want to give a shout out to Heidi Hansen, and thank you, Heidi, for your absolutely incredibly wonderful, generous super chat donation. You break records every time.
I want to bring some up while you're thanking her real quick. We're going to do a thing where we're going to auction off her book. And it's all the money proceeds from it are going to go to buy a tree in this country because that's what she loves to do. She loves to plant trees. And we just got in the mail from Heidi a certificate of authenticity for the book and a thank you and her personal message to the person whoever gets this book. And it's I don't know if we're going to do it like a lottery or how we're going to do it, but it's going to be in the next couple of weeks. We have to work out the details because I want this to be fair and honest for everybody. Okay, but her book is spectacular, and
a bunch of them. It's got a whole big
series. I know, and so we're going to be doing the tree thingy. So we'll let you know more about that. But Heidi, don't worry, it's in the works.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Heidi. Yeah, and do check out her books. They're so wonderfully sincere and detailed. She was, of course, a previous guest on the show, and we had so much fun. We adore you, Heidi, just so you know. And thank you. Okay, now we do need to take this quick station ID break. Let me pull up the banner so people do know where we are broadcasting from. You are watching The Lightgate. I'm your host, Preston Dennett. My lovely co-host is Dolly Saffron. Our guest tonight is Simon Domville-Musters. We've been talking about all kinds of things, everything from crop circles to mythical beings to megalithic structures, Stonehenge, and more. Of course, we are streaming live on United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. Also the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3, also from New Orleans. And we're on multiple platforms, including YouTube and Roku. For those of you who have it, check us out on Roku, because that's still relatively new, but a wonderful platform to enjoy the show from. We're on Facebook as well. And again, for those who don't know, we did recently change our airing time. We used to be from 6 to 9 Pacific, or 9 to 11 Eastern. We're now 1 hour earlier, so that's 5 to 8 Pacific, and 8 to 10 Eastern. There, I think I got it right. It's a little bit of a mouthful.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get back. I've got all your questions lined up, guys, so thank you. We will be asking them shortly, but we're just having so much fun with Simon, talking about all these different topics, and it's just super fascinating. Okay, there we go. Shall we get to some of the questions, you guys?
Sure. Simon, are you stuck? Say something. Okay, there you are. Okay. Just making sure you didn't freeze.
I didn't freeze.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Okay, I think this harkens back to the last time you were on. This is a question from Morgan to Simon. Did you ever get to draw your sightings, UAPs, ETs, etc., or get someone else to draw them? If not, would you consider getting some done? It would be brilliant to see visuals.
Yes.
Be a pleasure if we could get together and you can draw them, not a problem. What's more, I have other witnesses who can contribute to the description, so you could definitely draw them, not only from my description, but from other people. No problem.
Cool.
Well, good. Can we leave your email with this person?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. All right.
All right, we've already pretty much discussed this from Eagle One. What are your thoughts on crop circles and symbols? So we've been talking a lot about that. I think they're real. Obviously, it's not Doug and Dave doing it. You know, God bless them for coming forward and trying to cover
They
that
didn't
up.
even get paid for half their work. And quite rightly too. Quite rightly too. I was so thrilled when I was doing my research that these frauds paid by MI5 did not even get paid by the media outlet for the totality of the hours that they put in making these awful, awful facsimiles of crop circles.
Right.
And quite rightly so too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
There is universal justice.
Okay. This is a question from Peak, and he's asking, what are the most interesting gaps in your mental model of extraterrestrials and or the paranormal? And if there was one topic you could magically know the whole truth about right now, what would it be? Oh, there's still lots of questions surrounding all of the ET subject and the paranormal.
Yeah, so Peak, I'm a very old spiritual being, as you are as well, and I would just like to be in control of my next reincarnation. That would be very nice. So there is the gap in my knowledge.
All right.
Okay.
So is it ETs making crop circles, Dolly? Flat out?
Yes, flat out. Yeah, 80% of them, 80% or better. Yeah. There are some where, as he said, that they're cheap knockoffs, you know, but more than 80% of them are real.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, here's a question from Eagle One. This is an interesting question. Is it possible that we can't hear UAPs? I'm going to call them UFOs. I hope you don't mind, Eagle One.
Right. Please stop using that language. Yeah.
Is it possible that we can't hear UFOs because the sound is out of our detectability?
Absolutely, which is why dogs can.
Yes.
And I have a special whistle with me, in case I have, with my medical problem, an incident where I fall over and I need help. And it's on two frequencies, this whistle. One is for humans and the other is for dogs.
Yep, somebody's going to come get you. That's right.
Right, yeah, yeah.
Someone mentioned this to me recently and says, why don't we just create an instrument that can detect these, ultrasonic noises or whatever they are?
We have.
That
I
would-
I
have.
think we
They
got
are
that question. I think we got it, but they're just not telling us.
Military has them. They can detect the sound. Yes, they can. Yeah.
It's
Very
like
nice.
anti-gravity. We've had it since October 1954. And your guest, Michael
Schratt, yeah.
Strat,
Michael Spratt, yes.
yeah, wonderful guy, absolutely brilliant, super fast thinker, absolutely love him. If you were a girl, I'd fall in love with him. Yeah, this guy, he's got it in one, right? And of course, we've got technology, of course,
Right.
right?
I want to tell you something. If you look this up, you can find it out. It's absolutely provable. The French have been working on anti-gravity since the late 1930s, early 1940s.
Yeah.
And it was, we've farmed out this information all over the planet. Every single country that has the ability to back engineer technology has been incorporated in all of this. It isn't just us back engineering at all. Other countries are involved. They don't want you to know the truth of that either. But there are ways to figure that one out.
To the French, they have an institution called the Centre National de Recherche Scientifique, which then decomposes into the Centre National de Recherche Spatiale, for which Jacques Vallée still works, by the way. And they published a book on ETs. And they made it very clear in the book for the public that yes, they do exist, and no, they do not pose an existential threat.
Exactly. I know. So,
old froggies.
Not written in English, though. That's the only problem. People here can't get it unless you can interpret it.
No. You can get it in English. And
you can.
You
really?
can. Yes.
Okay.
And I was in Bulgaria about 5 years ago at a Chamber of Commerce do, and I met Madame the Ambassadrice of France, and we were chatting away about various subjects. And I said, oh, by the way, I have to congratulate you on the book. And she said, what book's that? I told her about the book. And she looked at me and said, can I have your card? Obviously, I didn't hear anything from her again.
Oh, no, not that. That's amazing.
No, but now I really understand what Stephen Greer was up against. Because this guy has spent, I don't know how many years, going to the top decision makers on the planet, theoretically the top decision makers, right? And all he has had is the back being turned very politely. He's also, they've tried to kill him very politely with thorium or plutonium or I don't know what. They killed his assistant, right? One of the directors of the CIA who just left his post and decided that he could come out about all this was then found 2 days later face down in the river, the Potomac outside Washington.
Oh, the Potomac, yes.
Yes, right. So that's where he was found dead. Now, Stephen Greer has been talking to top people about this, so I should be very lucky I'm still alive, with Madame the Ambassadrice in Bulgaria. And, right, the poor guy has been banging his head against the wall for 40 years. Now, anyone who thinks that disclosure is going to come with the economic play plus the power. It's the power before even the economics, right? Forget it. We guys have just got to take control. We've got to take control. That is why I call my channel The Ranting Revolutionary. That is why I am explaining things as clearly, as nicely as I can, without being sensational, a bit like Linda Moulton Howe, who is wonderful for being sensational, or without the hidden anticipation of Richard Dolan, or both of whom are highly intellectual and highly intelligent, but who have a manipulative move in the way they go about things, right? We just need to take control, we the people.
Grace, I would like to see the truth be established, completely established. In other words,
government to endorse
people
it.
make up their minds.
Do you need a government stamp on a piece of paper?
No, that's not the truth I'm talking about. They can go to
Yes.
hell, first of all. I care. Okay,
Yeah,
really,
right.
seriously, we need to stop sucking at the teat of the governments of this world.
Thank
Literally.
you. You got it.
Right.
Whoa, yes.
Okay? We need to get off that bottle, okay? It is ridiculous. We are capable of thinking for ourselves. And what I'm talking about is truth comes with knowledge, truth comes with experience, and your ability to employ the truth as well. So every time you hear something, I don't want people to just believe it outright. I want you to do your homework and research it. And if you have to learn something to get an answer, learn what you have to learn. Learn all that is learnable in these situations. You know, if you don't understand electricity or gravity or whatever, get a handle on yourself and start delving into it. If you want to believe somebody, do all, you know, who, what, where, when, and why. Is this person capable of telling the truth? Is this person got evidence, you know, physical evidence, any kind of evidence? Is this person holding back and being secretive or dupeful or whatever? You have to vet everything you hear. And and I guarantee you, if it's hearsay, in other words, if you're getting the second or third or fourth or fifth hand, not first hand, but anything behind that, don't even think about it. Let it go. Because I guarantee you, you're not hearing the full truth about anything. Gossip is the worst kind of telling there is. And you can't do that. You have to have the horse's mouth talking to you. You have to have the people who have actually experienced this and know what they're talking about talk to you. And it's not second, third, fourth, or fifth hand. That's why I love podcasting, because we're looking for people to come on who can tell the truth from their mouth. Okay.
I'll tell you what, Molly. We have an English commentator who was completely cancelled by the British media. Her name is Katie. Katie, it'll come to me. And she said the wonderful thing about social media is that the truth is coming out. Now, the thing is, we have to make this truthful experience collective.
Correct.
Because we are all talking in our own little corners, and some of us obviously are speaking with other sites and all the rest of it. But the thing that's missing is the collective experience, which we did have in the good old days when we trusted MSN. Now, this is really interesting because when you look at what's happening recently, Julian Assange got released, thank God, at last. Then we had Tommy Wilkinson in Canada, who got arrested but released. Then we had Richard Vobes. Now, you Americans don't know Richard Vobes, but everything he says applies to the US just as much as it does to the UK. Right? Mm-hmm. He has just been banned for 3 months, but he's got another channel, so it just goes to the other channel, right?
Right. We have Glenn Beck here. Glenn Beck has just been destroyed on the internet. They demonetized him and everything. And he's went, okay, fine, I'll go over here and do it from over here. and he's
Yeah.
notified everybody. He's demonetized. He can't have that channel anymore. They're
Well,
trying to wipe him out.
whenever an
And-
author's book gets banned, that's ultimately good news for the author.
Yeah.
You know what, Preston? I get my some of my content banned from Facebook, and I think, well, I must be doing something right.
Exactly. It's a badge of honor. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, it's like in the good old days of the Tsar, right?
Yes.
When you were a political prisoner, you were under house arrest, which is very cool, very nice, actually. I mean, they censored your mail and they interrogated your visitors. But basically, it wasn't too bad, right? I mean, it was not the cell Julian Assange was in for I don't know how many years, over 4 years, right? In this cell of 7x5 with 1 hour outside to get some sunshine, right? Being a political prisoner of the Tsar was very cool. Now, I am a Russophile. I love Russian culture. I love their literature. I love their history. I love the beauty of their women. I love certain aspects of their cuisine. Russian champagne, quite frankly, is better than French champagne. I'm sorry, but it's true. I am very pro-Russian. Now, Vladimir Putin took Russia from the ashes of a total Soviet collapse. It was not a capitalist victory. It was a Soviet collapse. And he built this nation up. And the more sanctions the West gave, the stronger Russia got. You go to any Russian supermarket, just go see Tucker Carlson. You don't have to check it out with me. Just go see Tucker Carlson.
Right. They're thriving right now. Yes.
Yeah. Right. And what's more, with BRICS are now refusing entry. They've got enough nations that they can replace the US dollar. The US dollar is going to be de-dollarized, which means that the US dollar is going to have to deal in BRICS, which means that if they have to deal in BRICS, they actually have to put value against something and not give you a debt-based piece of paper.
Right. Well, it amazes me that Americans, most of them don't understand that China owns our debt.
That's right.
And they own most of our gold, as a matter of fact, and that they could call our debt at any time and flatten our economy in seconds. Exactly. They have also gone to great lengths to own a lot of property here, businesses. They're very, very ensconced in American everything, and most of everything you buy comes from China. You know, most people don't put that together either, and it amazes me that we live in a society and it's worldwide. I mean, we're not the only ones China's picking on. Okay, China can't pick on Russia. Russia won't let them. Okay, but China's everywhere, and they're moving out, but people don't rationalize that at all.
Russia is all over Africa,
right?
And the Africans are absolutely thrilled because they're getting real exchange. He just also outmaneuvered the States in North Korea. North Korea will no longer have a food problem,
right?
Because he's just done a deal with them. North Koreans were using human feces as fertilizer.
I know, and wood burning, like they burn things with it, you know, to have heat.
That's right. They are, yeah, and North Koreans have been working in Russia for a long time, earning proper wages so that they can then feed their families properly and all the rest of it. So he has cemented the deal with North Korea. He has outmaneuvered everybody. And you've got a kid with a mental age of 12 called, what's your Secretary of State's name?
Oh, that's a good one. I don't pay attention to that. Preston, do you?
What's his name? It's not, what's his name? Oh, for God's sake, your Secretary of State. He went to China recently and he didn't get the red carpet.
No, of course not.
Whereas when Putin did, not only did they roll out the red carpet, but Xi actually embraced him. Now, you guys are going to have to wake up, because it doesn't matter how many stupid little countries sign the Artemis Accords. If you don't know what the Artemis Accords are, there's Michael
Schratt, yes.
who does a wonderful thing on exopolitics. So America is signing up all these silly little countries for the Artemis Accords. And basically, Russia and China and everybody else doesn't care about the Space Force, right? Because they're not anticipating any problem with ET. It's only the states who are preparing a false flag.
Well, no, that's not true. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Everybody on this planet doesn't realize that there's
Blinken. Thank you.
alternate world government at play here, and they're operating, and everything that's going on politically, geopolitically, is staged. Okay, and there's some real serious stuff going on. The way the planet's going to go over after. Imagine losing the grid worldwide, going back to the Stone Age. Okay. There are people, we only have a short amount of time between that moment and the moment that we go micronova. And we have 8.4 billion people on this planet, and they have to take us down to 1 or 2% before that second thing goes off. Because where they've politically engineered worldwide safe havens, it's only for 1% of the population worldwide. 1%. And America is the first one to go down. I'll give you that. But it doesn't mean that everybody else isn't also. Everybody's in a lot of trouble. You don't realize who's really governing things. It's not Putin. It's not the guy in China. It's not any of them. There's an alt government, and it is worldwide. And all you have to do is follow the money.
They think they're in control, but ultimately I feel like the people on this planet are the most powerful force.
Right. Well, we have to wake up to that. We have to wake up in unison and say, you're done.
As well.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring up a question because this is an important one from Gamma Galaxy. Apparently, aliens have contact with the U.S. government. Is it true?
No,
Yes.
It's not. No. It is not contact with anybody on this planet. No. They won't.
They tried. They did at one point.
They have, and they are still here, Preston. And it depends which faction, right? Now, let's get something straight, because there's loads and loads of podcasts about the Intergalactic Federation, and they're trying to sell us a Star Trek version of things, right? Well, first of all, Jim Kirk always and invariably violated the prime directive of non-interference. So let's forget the Star Trek version. Secondly, there are federations, but there's not just one. And no, they do not follow the same model. And let us be very clear also that because we are their children or cousins or their experiment, they consider that they have total rights over us.
Can I want to explain something to you. Okay, let's talk science for a minute. Okay?
Yeah.
Are you aware that our planet is about to experience a grid down? That our sun is about to
we know that. Yeah.
Okay, there's no protection from it. It will take the planet down 100%. I want you to understand something. Nuclear power plants are all over this planet.
Which is everywhere. A big mistake.
Okay, and when the grids go down, what do you think is going to happen to those plants? They're going to melt down, and everybody in the way of them is going to die. That's one way that they've planned to kill people on the planet worldwide. The governments of this world have planned to do that. ET has not. ET thinks they're insane and out of their minds. They think that they are liars. They're protagonists. They are evil, and they will have nothing to do with them for that reason. And yet the governments have convinced you otherwise. And this bothers me greatly. It bothers me a lot, because if you follow the science and you follow the understanding of why they're not here right now, you understand that our magnetosphere can't protect us from incoming CMEs. And we have one hitting us today, by the way, and it'll be coming in the next 2 days as well. We popped off today. and we had one before it. Communications suck right now because of it. Every single person on this planet is in danger of what the sun is doing to us, but they don't tell you that. They don't want you to know that. They don't want you to be alive when they have to go underground to protect themselves. It is the 1% on this planet that are going to survive, not you at all, or me, or anybody else that they can kill so that they can go underground. They've been planning this for over 100 years. False flag is exactly that. They're going to make you believe that ETs are coming to kill you, and they are not. They are not even here. They can't fly here. Scientifically proven they cannot fly here. You know how many space shuttles or rockets have gone up and blown up in the skies lately? That's because of what's happening from our sun.
There was just one the other day.
Yeah. They don't want to do that anymore. They have to stop SpaceX from going up from time to time because we're having CMEs that are bad enough that it would kill people. They delayed the one with the people on it because they knew they'd die in midair. This is the facts, the truth, the science of it. ET cannot fly here under those conditions because they're vulnerable to the sun and our problems as well. We have a huge electromagnetic current sheet sluicing through our galaxy right now at rates that you can't even believe. And they know that for a fact too. It's proven fact. Okay, there are many scientists on this planet that are opening their mouths and saying the truth now. Wake up. They are not here. They are not going to kill us. Yes, they are our progenitors. They're our parents. But we are errant, stupid children who are idiots by allowing this to happen. We're autonomous beings, we're supposed to be, and we don't act like it. And so we make all this crap up for everybody to believe or not believe. And at the same time, the undercurrent of evil is so bad that 7.9 billion people will die in the next 20 years. Easily, maybe sooner than that. If that CME happens tomorrow, which I personally wish it would, because it would shut them the hell up. Okay, because they can't communicate with you anymore. And it makes you have to go into survival mode. And you'll live long enough to see ET when they do come back to get you. But if you're not here, they can't pick you up. And they are not picking up anybody who's planned all of this. These guys are idiots. They think, oh, well, we're the only ones left. They'll get us. No, they won't. They want nothing to do with them because they are that bad. Okay? Let's talk about morality. Let's talk about morality. What's right? What's wrong? What's honest? What's a lie? Do you want a whole bunch of liars on ET craft going to their homeworlds to mess with them? They don't act like us. They're billions of years in advance of us. Billions. We're not an experiment. We're a life that they've given life to come up and grow and learn just like they did. That's how the universe works. Every crop you plant is a new crop, and it has to grow in its own way. And we're a new crop, and we're not doing it. We are messed up. Very messed up. They have warned us multiple times in multiple ways to stop it, and they don't listen. And they've had media lie to you. They've had experts lie to you. The lying is unbelievable. The misinformation on this planet is so bad. There aren't 5 people that I've met have all understand what the real story is and the truth. ET is not here. They are not here. They cannot fly here. I fly for ET. I am a pilot. I was raised by them. I can prove that. And it is impossible to fly here right now. I stayed behind because it's important to tell the truth. See what I'm saying? And you can't know the truth unless you know the science of what's happening right now. And the very first thing I want people to do is go look at what the science is of what the sun is doing to us. There's no such thing as global warming. That's the biggest lie there is. Our sun is in circuit with us. Our planet, it reacts and we react back. And it's eating us alive. Our poles are changing. Our magnetosphere is going down. Any CME the sun pops off, no matter how small it is amplified 10,000 times because it's coming into a magnetosphere that can't repel it. That's what's happening to us right now. Okay? These are facts, actual scientific facts. And there are people who are paid by the government to lie about it. And I'm not going to name names, but there are scientists running their mouths right now, and they're not telling the truth. And that irritates me more than anything because they're bald-faced lying to the public and not letting you know the truth.
They've been doing so for a very long time. We agree.
Yes. They've dumbed everybody down. You haven't got the education to back you right now. And it's like, now we're asking you to start learning this stuff. And there's a way to do it. There are places that are teaching it. I'm going to give you one, Suspicious Observers. on YouTube. Go back and watch his playlist. The guy is brilliant. He teaches what the truth is, and he has scientific based facts. The governments can't argue with him. They've tried. NASA's tried. Hell, there are 5 NASA scientists right now who agree with him, but are not allowed to talk about it. That's bad. That's really bad. Okay, it's bad. The truth is that our magnetosphere is so far down, at least 40% right now as we speak, that
Yes.
any CMEs coming in are damaging everybody, everyone. And ET can't be here for that. They're gone. They left 2 years ago. They are not here. The only people who are here are hybrids like me, who are opening their mouths and saying, "Wake up!" Okay,
Oh,
don't
actually,
believe the government.
sorry. I
Okay.
picked up a story. It must be about 18 months ago,
Okay.
but it really rang true with me.
Okay.
During the period where the American government was betraying every single treaty it signed with the American
Right.
Indians, right? They moved a whole nation from the east of the United States,
Right.
to roughly, I'm being rough here, right? This is not precise. San Francisco area, right? So you're looking at 3,000 miles trek with old people, babies, all the rest of it, right?
Most of them died. Yes.
No, they
Some of them, yeah.
survived it because it was in the summer. But they got there, they set up camp, they were starting to get established, and a year later, the American army turned up in their blue uniforms, right, and said, "You have to go down to the Louisiana in midwinter." Right now, you don't move old people, babies, and all the rest of it, let alone normal people, in midwinter without food supplies. And the army was camped out. Now, according to this very interesting, not anecdote because it's actually a historical fact, this retelling of the history, the elders of all the tribes of the nation, because that's how they are organized, got together and they said, "What are we going to do?" Because they did actually have enough healthy men to repulse the American army, who had yet again betrayed yet another treaty. So they're having a chinwag about this. And apparently, representatives of Bigfoot and the ant people. Now, the ant people are credible because we have so many petroglyphs of the ant people. But they sent representatives to the chiefs of the tribes and said, "We know what's happening to you. We will help you if you want to repulse them." What do you think about that?
I don't know. I'm part Cherokee, just so you know. I'm Ostahatchee Cherokee.
So
And
you got,
I know about this. I'm very well versed in it. My family is very verbal about it. And one of the things that I can tell you is that you can destroy people with things that you don't even think about every day. They herded them into camps. They kept them in, what they called,
reservations.
Yes, thank you. And I'm translating from Swedish to English in my head as I speak to you. And they introduced them to alcohol.
Yeah.
And they started drugging them with other things as well, which if you look at the populations of the planet, we're all drugged up and alcoholed up now. Okay, it's really hard for people to learn under those conditions or even retain any knowledge for any real reason whatsoever. And people don't think of that. They don't realize that they've been given substances that F their brains up so bad they can't think straight. Okay, I need to relax. I'm sorry. It's one of the worst things you can do to yourself. And they did it to that population. I know it for a fact. Okay. if you can't kill them overnight, you can kill them slow. And that's basically what they've tried to do. They're very resilient people. They have really strong genetics, Native Americans do, or any native peoples on the planet. And they've survived to this day. They still exist. There's some whole bands of them that don't, they've been destroyed, but for the majority of them, they still exist. And they've learned, if you can't beat them, join them in a lot of ways. And in America, they've not only come back, but they've thrived, okay? And they're still the same people, which we can't say for ourselves, okay? They still have the same philosophies. They still have the same majorities and whatever. And if you want to call them star people, they are. They've learned from the ETs. That's where they come from, and they know it. And you opened up and said one thing that's absolutely true, and I tried to say it earlier, and I'm going to bring it up. They don't have governments. They have elders, wise men.
That's right. Yes.
Okay. ET has the same thing. They are not governed. Wise men are what doesn't control them, but they all go to them. Everybody becomes wise, and they want wisdom, and they trust the elders of them to know the answers if they don't know them. It is called a consensus, where age and wisdom and understanding guide and regulate the people. Okay. Same thing. There is no federation. That is a human anthropomorphic piece of BS. Okay. We are anthropomorphizing ET, and to do it to make you think the wrong way about them. It is not true. They are not that way at all. We are responsible adults here. We're supposed to act like them, not petty children, egomaniacal, crazy people. Okay. And we have become that, and it's flourishing here. It's taught here. It's encouraged here. Okay. Stinking thinking. And we have to stop doing that. We have to take control of ourselves. Everybody individually needs to wake up and realize that, if I can't control myself, I can't control anything or anybody else.
That's right.
And you have to learn. Healing requires learning. Okay. Healing requires wisdom. Healing requires employing that wisdom. And we have to start thinking like that, or we're doomed. I'm telling you, you're doomed.
Well, each of us has to do our part. I think each of us, we need to walk away from fear, walk in truth, compassion, and love, recognize that we all came here, that we're going to be okay, and that, just do your best to learn and do the right thing. I think truth has a certain, attractive quality that we can all recognize.
Right.
But we have like 10 minutes left to the show. I'm hoping we can get through some of these questions in sort of a rapid fire way.
Okay.
So, because there's quite a few of them lined up, and I always like to interact with people in chat. And Morgan is asking, Simon, when you heard your first UAP/UFO, the one in the London rural area, if I remember correctly, I hear many people hear the hum, guessing it's the vibration frequency. Did you hear anything when you saw your first UFO?
Didn't hear it, but we could feel it. Yeah.
That's a good example. Most people don't realize that.
And this is very interesting because there are people who will buy 33 tour LPs rather than CDs because the CD knocks out the sound you cannot hear in order to compress the sound that you can hear. But the sound you cannot hear, which is on a 33 LP, is often that which nourishes the body.
Correct.
Yes, feel it.
Yeah. So you can feel it without hearing it. And in my case, we could feel it definitely, but we did not hear it. No.
All right, here's a question from Linda Catlett. Do people look the same in the fourth dimension? I can say when I'm out of body, yeah, they do. They're more beautiful. And you can actually appear as a ball of light. But ultimately, yeah, I think when my experience going out of body, yeah, we look very much the same. Younger, more beautiful.
They have a certain amount of gravity. They have a certain amount of cohesiveness. They are corporeal in the fourth dimension. It's the fifth dimension. When you get into fifth dimension, they lose that corporeal stuff. Okay. Yeah, they look like us. They're exactly like us. You see guardian angels, that's a fourth dimensional being, and they look like us. Yep.
All right. Well, you guys' chat is going crazy today. Okay.
Oh, I'm glad. In fact,
This has been a wild show. Okay. Next one is from Gamma Galaxy. Do aliens have emotions?
of course they do, but they don't necessarily have the same emotional scale as we do, just as in their language, they don't necessarily have the same verbs. For instance, I will give you a very good concrete example. In Japan, prior to the Europeans arriving, the word love did not exist. It was admiration and respect.
Right.
Now, when a woman tells you that she admires you and she is proud of you, whether she comes from an Eastern European culture or a Western culture, she's actually telling you she loves you.
Exactly. And in Swedish, there's like 8 or 9 different ways to say I love you. Yeah, I mean, it just depends on how you're putting it in a sentence, and they use it differently for everything, and it means the same base thing, I love you, but it's a lot of respect. It's a lot of male and female verbiage going on back and forth. It's to show the degree or level of how they feel about you when they're talking about the word love. And okay, go ahead.
I've been very lucky. I've had a couple of Japanese girlfriends. I can tell you that their mindset is so much better than any Western mindset. And then if I take mindsets again, when it comes to getting down to brass tacks and who's going to dig the garden and who's going to wash the dishes, Eastern Europeans are far ahead of Western European women. They have been completely brainwashed.
Yes, they have. I agree 100%.
Thank you.
Culture plays a big role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Respect is at the bottom of it. We have a lot of non-respecters in this country. So
I'm so glad I've traveled.
It's definitely a wake-up call. Okay, here's a question for you, Simon, from Morgan.
Yeah.
Telepathic voices are heard, particularly in your second visit where they said, come to the window. What voice did you hear? Was it your own or female or male? What did it sound like?
It was sexless, it was accentless, and it was completely firm, neutral, without any added appendages. It was just straight, you just come to the window.
Well, all right, here's a non sequitur question because we did touch upon mythical creatures. CT Gadarga is asking, what about dragons? Are they real?
Dragons are in every culture. Dragons are part of us. Dragons, we probably have dragon DNA in us when we actually get around to doing things properly. And it's cool. It's not a problem. And this will probably explain why people have blue eyes and other people have hazel eyes, as I have, and other people have green eyes, like my daughter has, and other people have brown eyes, and so on.
Cool. All right, we've only got like a few minutes left here. So I'm going to have to pick just a couple of more questions. Let me see if I can find a good one here because we basically are out of time. Well, let me see. I'll just go in order, I guess. So do other ET races have kingdoms? Asks Fun Talks TV. We kind of already touched on that.
No, kingdoms don't exist in the ET world.
not at all. And they're not different races. We're all the same race. We all have the same DNA. It just dials up differently.
And remember that any notion of kingdom is just in order to tell the saga of Star Wars. And if you want to know why Star Wars was written the way it was, then you have to go back to the way of writing sagas, which exists in every culture. And that Star Wars is an absolute plagiarization of the 12 or 24 stages of any man through his life.
Yep.
Thank
I agree.
You. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're pretty much out of time. I do want to bring this up. This is your YouTube page.
Thank
I
you.
encourage everyone to check it out. And yeah, some really cool stuff on there. It's been fun having you on again, Simon.
Yes.
It's been lovely being with you all.
Yes.
thoroughly
I'm sorry
enjoyed-
if I attacked you. I'm sorry, but I can't help myself. The truth's got to come out. People need to understand it as it really and truly is. But I do apologize for going nuts on you tonight. I really try not to do that to people, but it just, when I hear that stuff, there are lots of people in this country that are, or overseas as well, who are spouting that BS, and I want it to stop because it's not true. And if you
You're
really
right.
think it through, Simon, think it through. Look at the science. You'll understand that I'm telling you that it's the truth.
I know you are. I know you are. And I absolutely love being with you. And I look forward to our next chat.
Absolutely. And we will schedule it. I promise. You're not going away after we hang up here. Okay. We'll make the next date. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I do want to give a shout out to all you wonderful people in chat. Thanks for interacting. Thanks for all the questions. I'm sorry we couldn't get to all of them, but I love that you are really engaged. So thank you for watching. Thank you all to who donated the super chat. Star Orchid, thank you, and Namaste. And Bob Thorson, you guys are amazing. Christopher Harmon, thank you so much. KM, aka Aunt Cat Static, truly appreciate it. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Heidi Hansen, she had to go off to bed, but love you, Heidi. Thank you so much. And yeah, you guys are awesome. So thanks very much for joining us.
Well, I want you to all be so happy. We've come to you tonight from the beautiful city of New Orleans in Louisiana at the United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM and the United UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM. We're on Roku, Facebook, and YouTube. We genuinely enjoy you all being here, and I say thank you very much myself, and I can't wait to see you all next week. See you later. Love.